Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our first English-speaking DFR talk. And I'm getting all the guests and my chat partner into this talk. So first, and then we have the Biennale of Contemporary Photography entering. And then we have the photo festival, Photo 2022 from Australia. So it will take some time until we have everybody on board.
Hello.
Good morning, Elias. You are first.
Welcome, Australia.
Good evening, Alexander.
Yeah.
Welcome to
We are still
Melbourne.
waiting for Yasmin. Give us a second before we start. So Yasmin has been invited. She tried to call me directly, but Yasmin, if you watch, you just have to accept the invitation. So let's try again. I'm inviting her again. And now she needs to accept. So while we wait for Yasmin, I would also like to say hello to everybody in Australia, Melbourne, because I invited a couple of old friends I haven't seen in a decade. It's has been like 12 years since I've been to Australia last time. And it's a pleasure for me to have this talk with you today and to say hello to some familiar faces and just introducing you, Elias. We haven't met when I was in Australia, but you are the CEO of Photo 2022, Festival on Contemporary Photography. Right now you are in the Center of Contemporary Photography in Melbourne, which is one of the two most important photography institutions in Australia. So it's very great to have you here. And now we need to get Yasmin from our festival. So she's watching.
Thank you so much.
Watching.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here and to join you over in Germany. What we're doing, it's so important for us to have these international connections, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation to talk about festivals both here in Melbourne and over in Germany. Good evening, Yasmin.
Hi.
Hello to Mannheim.
Hi.
Hello. Yasmin Meinicke is the CEO of the Biennale for Contemporary Photography in Mannheim, Germany. And I think before we start to talk about photography, festivals, and the art market, it would be good for our viewers to get an idea what type of photo festival you actually are, because there are a lot of things you have both in common and there are also differences. Would you like just to give us a little description of the profile of your festival?
Yasmin, why don't you go first? You're on home territory there.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. So, okay, the Biennale für aktuelle Fotografie is staged in Germany and in 3 cities, in Mannheim, Ludwigshafen, and Heidelberg. Sorry, I will close the window. I think it's a bit loud. Okay. We are a festival which is staged in 6 venues, in museums and art galleries, spread over these 3 cities. And so these are professional venues where usually exhibitions are shown. So we don't have any off spaces here. And this time in 22, we also have 2 public space projects in the 2 stations in Mannheim main station and Heidelberg main station. So this is something special for this year, and we would like to continue here. But our core is to show this exhibitions curated by 1 guest curator in these 6 venues. So this is a basis of our festival. And of course, we have a big educational program, around 140 events, digital and also physical, like workshops, guided tours, and whatever you can imagine, which has to do something with photography. And usually it's over 8 weeks, the running time of the festival. So, yeah, that's it, basically.
Elias?
Great. Well, down in Melbourne, Photo 2022 is a very young festival. Our first edition was supposed to take place in 2020, but we had to postpone, obviously, at the last minute, and that was delivered in 2021 as Photo 2021. We are now, we run as a biennial, so we also take place every 2 years, and we're delighted that we overlap with your Biennale over in Germany, because I think the thing that connects us both is an interest both in contemporary practice, but also presenting the very best practitioners from around the world. A real focus on quality definitely runs through both biennales. But at the same time, there are also several big differences. So as a festival, we have quite a large outdoor program. So across Melbourne and cities of regional Victoria, there are 90 exhibitions featuring 123 artists from Australia and abroad. Differently to Mannheim, instead of one artistic curator defining the whole program, I invite in several different voices. So we focus on curating and commissioning the work that people can see in the outdoor program, and then we invite different museums and institutions and both public and private galleries to curate their own exhibitions in response to a central festival theme. And for 22, the theme is being human. So we're looking at the contemporary human condition, but bringing in multiple different perspectives and lived experiences to that conversation, and making sure that curators are also bringing in different voices to that. We also run a very comprehensive events and education program and do a lot of work supporting the next generation of photographers and visual artists here in Victoria and Australia. And I'm sure that will come up in conversation later, how we're both supporting the sector. So across the festival this year, we have 50 world premieres of different artists' projects. Of those, 24 are new commissions. So we are dedicated to new photography and new ideas, and it's important for us, as well as presenting work, to also be commissioning work. And we do that extensively across the program. Most of that for public spaces, from really iconic buildings like the Parliament of Victoria and the old Treasury building here in Melbourne, but also down laneways and hidden sites that are not normally considered as iconic sites in themselves. But the whole festival is one of exploration. And this year we're also taking over the whole of the Centre for Contemporary Photography, and we've curated a program of US and Australian artists, all with an interest in queer lived experience, and have brought that to the galleries here. So as we're talking, I'll walk through the galleries, and people that might be joining us in Germany will just get a little taster of the exhibition program here.
Okay, thanks a lot. Boris.
I think for our German audience, like what you do is also to be an umbrella for many like commercial galleries and museums, institutions, also to show their own program, but concentrate on photography during the running time of the festival, which for the German audience could be compared maybe to Fotoscene Cologne. Yeah, Alex, you might know that better. What I find very interesting is the commissioning part. I think there are not that many festivals that actually commission work. Is there a commissioning part in the Mannheim Festival as well, Yasmin?
Well, we don't focus on that, but we always try to have commissions for each individual edition. So it's good that you added that you're a very young festival. I would say that the Biennale für aktuelle Fotografie is not that young anymore. So the first edition was in 2005. And of course it developed, and it was renamed to Biennale für aktuelle Fotografie, which we usually don't translate because we also make a statement that it's staged in Germany then, because I think also English-speaking people can understand it quite well. And we try in each edition to have commissioned works, but we never can guarantee because of our financial structure and also of the capacity of the curators. It's never sure. But this time we are very proud that we had 8 commissioned works. So that's quite a lot for us. And yeah, so it's really nice that we can have this artist support as well on this site. But yes, we always have to figure out if it's possible or not, and we never know in the beginning.
So maybe you could...
I was just going to say very quickly, I think it is quite rare for photography festivals to commission work. So I think it's, you know, most festivals kind of do a sweep of what they find interesting in the world, and that's not a critique of that method, but I think to kind of be on the cutting edge and not just show what's happening now, but what's happening next, it is important to be able to commission. And we are the same. We try and secure funding for that, project funding, to make sure that we can do that each time. And just another note, just in case anyone's wondering, where I am, this is a solo exhibition by the American artist Paul Mapaji Sapuya. So I'll just be moving through this as we're talking.
So first, what I thought when you talked about commissioned works, how does this process is going on when you think about, okay, let's commission a work for a photo festival? So how does that work? Maybe Elias?
Sure. I guess I don't think it's any different to commissioning for anyone else. But I guess we run an open call for each edition, and through that open call we select projects with our curatorial advisory committee. And those projects are either clearly defined works, or they're works that people are kind of in the process of making or want to make. We also approach artists directly and invite them to make new work for the festival. We always have a sense of the overall theme, so we're looking to commission work that really adds to that narrative, that really says something, that really, you know, embellishes what we're doing. We don't look at commissioning work that's just repeating what's already out there in the world, but it's important for us to allow artists to have a voice, to have an opinion on the world. So, for example, at our last festival, Photo 2021, we commissioned the artist Hoda Afshar to make a work in response to the theme, The Truth. She wanted to look at the experience that whistleblowers have had, blowing the whistle against the Australian government, against the military, against aged care homes. And we were able to secure funding to allow her to make a whole new work where she invited those whistleblowers to Melbourne. She recorded that, she made a photographic documentation and a film work that we were able to show at the festival. So this year we've also commissioned a lot of new work, including a First Nations artist that is based in Melbourne called James Henry. We commissioned him to photograph the elders of each of the Kulin nations that are the traditional owners of the lands in and around Melbourne, to create a work celebrating the First Nations culture here that dates back for around 50 or 60,000 years.
Okay, Boris.
I think we all know somebody that at some point had the idea of, hey, let's make a photo festival. Yeah? And photo festivals are like popping up everywhere and disappearing quite quickly. And I think this is an opportunity to look behind the scenes and to actually show that it's not so easy, and that it takes many things to come together to make a successful festival. And maybe we can have a look at those different aspects.
Sorry, Boris, may I add something to the commission in our festival?
Of course.
Yes.
Sorry. I only wanted to say, because I think it's really interesting also to find out about the differences here, because you, as you said, you have a curatorial committee or something in Melbourne, and that you more or less decide. So with us, it's different that we have our guest curator for each individual edition. And then the first step is always that the guest curator develops the theme. And then we come into this discussion, okay, which venues do we have, and in which part of the overall theme or for in the specific venue makes sense to have a commissioned work. So, for example, for this edition, it was quite clear in the beginning, and our theme is from where I stand. So being human is not that far away from that, I think, because it's about the technology and how technology, nature, and people interfere. So it's a really wide theme, and we have 4,500 square meters of exhibition space. So it's really big. And Iris Sicking, our curator, she wanted to have one work which is staged in Heidelberg, where a very big concrete factory is set. So Heidelberg Cement. So it's one of the most important worldwide cement companies. And so Maria Sturm made one specific work especially about this concrete material and how we deal with it. Also, we build with it and so on. So it's really specific for each individual theme, for each individual overall theme. And so we have, this time developed 8 different commissioned works, which fits very well also to the region, also to make a connection to the region, because our guest curators are usually from all over the world, and but also to make the theme like really contemporary and see what is developing right now. But what is also a focus from Iris is that the artists can develop their work more. So if they were working already on something, that they can finish it and show it here the first time, so to say.
I think there's a couple of really good points there. I think commissioning works well when it could help support an artist develop their practice, not just repeat something they've done, but actually help expand it and move it to the next level. And you also mentioned location. And we, apart from obviously, the works in the Centre for Contemporary Photography here and a couple of other like semi-public private spaces we occupy, it's all outdoors in the public realm. So we have to think very hard about the work that we're commissioning that would also be relevant for the site. And that goes 2 ways. Either we're commissioning work and we have to think for a really appropriate site for it in the city, or we sometimes start with the site and then commission work. So for example, we collaborate with the Parliament of Victoria to commission work that goes on the steps of Parliament House. And Parliament House is a place for meeting and gathering and protest. So for this festival in 22, we commissioned 4 photographers from the photojournalism collective Oculi to go around regional Victoria and look at other places where people meet and gather. So a different kind of take that responds very much to the location, so it becomes a very site-specific responsive work.
So what let me just stick to this commission thing. What do you think is the connection between artistic work and finding a topic? Because for me, it was always like an artist finds his topic, and when you, as a photo festival, go to an artist and say, okay, I have this topic for you, just do a body of work of it. Do you think that you take a part of the artistic work from the artist?
I mean, for me, it's important to really understand the artist's practice. We don't ask artists just to do something absolutely random, something that is totally different to what they'd normally be doing. It's normally extension or understanding, what their interests are or previous bodies of work and how a commission would relate to that. So you're asking them to do something that is an extension of what they are interested in anyway.
Okay.
I would say the same.
Going back to my initial question, before I start, everybody that watches is invited to ask questions via comments. Please do so. So given the situation that Alex and we two say, let's do a photo festival of our own, and
Okay,
you are our
good idea.
advisors. It costs money. It costs a lot of money. And what are the things I have? Well, I need to pay. Of course, there is one point is, do I have employees? Yeah, is there full-time staff? How many? How much money do I need for the production of the work? For the installation, do I need money to rent spaces? Then possibly security, insurance. What about marketing? You need to get the audience in, and if it's an exhibition space, there need to be people just having an eye on the work, guards, administration. Is there something missing in that list that I need to pay?
I mean, there's a long list of things that are required, but Yasmin, since we're kind of a newer biennial, maybe I'll just start, since I started this festival up a few years ago, and I can speak to what was required here. So the photo festival here in Melbourne was not started just to have a photography festival for the sake of it. I can't speak for other festivals' experiences, but I started this festival inspired by the incredible photographic and visual art community that already existed in and around Melbourne. So the festival here already builds on a really strong foundation. I think it'd be a very different story if you just wanted to start a photography festival in a town and try to bring in that photographic culture. The next thing that was required was to, discuss this idea, this vision, with all the main galleries and museums and directors and curators and photographers in the city, and have everyone come together. So everyone was coming to the table. Mm-hmm. And then there's all the governance and structure that needs to be put into place. So we decided to, in order to collaborate with everyone, it was important to be an independent organization. So we set up a board, and the board helped secure some kind of seed funding to employ the first employees that were necessary to deliver the festival. And in our case, it's a core team of 3 full-time staff. So it's myself, who takes the role of artistic director, and I have an executive director alongside me who is essential in making sure that the organization, the budgets, the funding all run smoothly. And then we also have an associate curator on the team who works directly with the artists as well as the different public sites around the city and everything that's entailed in the production. And then it's a case of working with both city, state, and federal governments to secure funding for certain elements of it, and working incredibly entrepreneurially, bringing in different funding, different partnerships to help deliver an incredibly ambitious and vast program.
Okay. And
Yasmin, how does that kind of relate to your setup over there?
It sounds really similar, to be honest. I mean, it's really, you need the structure. So we are an art association, and this is something that we can use as a structure to get funding, also states funding, and also to apply for funding. So that's the first step. I think you have to find a good infrastructure to be able to get funding. And in the very beginning, in 2005, it was a political will to bring the festival here into this region. And I think what also stands in the very beginning, what you said, is a collaboration. So you have to have people who think that it is a very good idea to work together and to support photography in a certain way. So our collaboration works with these 6 venues, exhibition venues, and these exhibitions venues are really welcoming to us, and they open their doors very generously and say, okay, we trust you and your association, and say, okay, whoever you choose, or we choose together, the curator, it will be fine. So they open their doors, so there is the infrastructure, so the guards are paid and the walls are standing there more or less. So if we want to have additional walls, we have to pay, but it's a really good way that we communicate and that we figure out who is dealing with what. And then, of course, for us, we are also 3 people who work full time in the association, and then we have 1 2-year internship, so to say. It's Volontariat in Germany. So we are more or less 4 people who work there more or less steadily. And then, of course, we have many people who work with us as freelancers. So like graphic designers and press spokesmen and so on. And of course, we have a board. And our board is also interesting because these are the heads of the offices of the cultural affairs of these 3 cities. So we have the support directly from the cities. So this is mainly the structure that you would need to have a new festival born, a good infrastructure.
Yasmin, I think it sounds similar because since we're both a biennial, you ramp up to the festival. So for us, about 9 months out, or 9 to 12 months out, we bring on, a team to run our events and education programs, our communications and marketing, to coordinate some of the programs that we have to deliver. That often starts in a part-time role, building up to full-time at the festival. We have to do a lot with tight budgets and make that stretch. And as a very, very small team, we punch well above our weight, and it's all about having the best possible team. And big shout out to my team. They've been amazing in delivering this festival. But I think that's really important. People that are really, really excellent and proficient at what they do. Yeah. And that cannot be underestimated.
Yes.
I'm just going to move.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Just for people that are interested, this is an artist called Martin Gutierrez, who is based in New York. And she designed this bespoke wallpaper and curated the whole hang from abroad, and we've delivered it within millimeters to the experience that people see here. If people want to know more, just go to our website, photo.org.au. I'll just move around this space while we're talking.
Take a flight to Australia.
Or come to Melbourne. We'd love to see you.
So, Boris.
Yes, my question. Many festivals have like entrance fee or workshops, or if there is an open call, sometimes it's an administration fee. How much of the funding is actually revenue from those entrance fees and stuff? Is that an important part, or doesn't it play any role?
Yasmin, do you want to go first?
You say that it's a fee. I mean, maybe I didn't understand correctly, but you may say it's a fee that artists have to pay to join this festival, or that?
No, it's for the visitors.
For the
visitors, buy a ticket to see the exhibitions or participate in workshops, like any kind of revenue that goes through festival being open.
Yes, thanks. Well, this is a very small part for our festival. I mean, it's still important because if we apply for the whole festival, it's important to say that you have revenues. So for the fundings, you have to say, okay, this is a certain portion of the overall budget that you gain for this. But as we are a non-profit organization, so we don't want to have any additional money. We only want to be in the end on the zero level. So it's around, I think, 4%. So by selling catalogs and getting no, it's 7 maybe, but by selling catalogs, and we have the pay what you want principle, so people can decide by themselves how much they pay for the entrance for the exhibitions. I mean, the exception is the Kunsthalle Mannheim, but in all other the venues you can decide yourself. So yeah, that's basically it.
I love that it's a pay what you like, pay what you can, pay what you like model. That's really beautiful. So we're slightly different over here in Melbourne. So since a lot of the festival programs in the public realm, pretty much the whole festival is actually free. All the exhibitions, both in galleries and on the streets, are free to view. With the exception this year, we have 2 icons of photography that we are celebrating, Cindy Sherman and Helmut Newton. Cindy Sherman's been presented as, we're celebrating her Untitled film stills, and we're presenting one of those works as a huge 20-meter long outdoor artwork. And Helmut Newton's been presented as an exhibition celebrating his life and career at the Jewish Museum. And that is ticketed, but all 89 other exhibitions are absolutely free. We do charge a small admission fee for the open call that we run. That equates to probably about 20-25 euros. We try and keep that really affordable, but we you know, that's necessary to help us both deliver that, and if we get additional funding through that, goes straight back into the artistic program for artist fees and production.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we try and keep this as free and as accessible as possible. We have lots of free events and live streamed events, and when it's ticketed, we try and keep it incredibly affordable so anyone can join. And often ticketing events is also a useful way, if there's limited places, of actually just securing an audience, so it doesn't get booked out for a free event and then no one shows up. Okay, I think we might have lost Yasmin for a second. Hopefully she'll be back with us.
I'll see if I can find her and invite her back. Yeah, maybe
No
Alex,
worries.
you would like to continue to talk with
Yeah, of course. For me, it's. I always think about when I think about photo festivals in general. How many money do I need to put a photo festival on the street? You know, what's your budget? It's a simple question, but maybe not so easy to answer.
I mean, how long's a piece of string, really? We have to secure all our project funding, and we build a festival that responds to that. We are also a charity, a non-profit organization, and I think that's really worthwhile for artists who are watching to look out for. Not all festivals operate in that way. Some are for-profit, and often there's artists are being charged to enter festivals, and I think that's not a model I love.
Mm-hmm.
So I think artists should just be aware of that. Not all festivals are equal. And we're still finding our feet. We're still working out what funding is required. But this is probably, because of COVID, the first full complete festival that we've delivered. And we're looking at making sure that we secure long-term funding. We also want to develop a very sustainable model here in Melbourne, which is why, you know, each exhibition partner curates their own program and delivers that within their own resources. So it's not entirely dependent on every single, you know, dollar that we raise, but it's the load is shared across the community, across the sector here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say, just before I hand over to you, Yasmin, on the question of funding, I'm just walking into a group exhibition here called Queer in the Frame, Community Time Photography, that shows a number of Australian queer artists across generations looking at connections. And this has some exclusive presentations as well as a number of new commissions on the walls. So I'll just be scanning around. Again, people can check the website if they're curious about.
You're doing a great job in showing the exhibition.
Yeah.
Yes, and actually, I don't know if you know that Alexander and I do such visits on and off as an online format on Instagram. So it would be you and maybe Alex in the one place, just seeing the exhibition, having a look, and I would sit at home and just watching you too and seeing the exhibition through your eyes. So you would be a good partner to do that.
Well, we'd love that. We'll do that next time.
You're giving a good tour, yeah.
Yasmin, you also mentioned the catalog that you have. We don't publish a catalog. What we do is we publish a festival guide that functions as a catalog. So it is thick. It's about 118 pages, I think, this time. And that functions both as a guide with maps around the festival, but also a record for anyone coming to keep hold of. And they'll be hopefully building up a collection of those guides over the years.
Okay, so maybe I can answer. Maybe Yasmin can answer the question asked when Yasmin was out of this talk. Do you hear me, Yasmin?
Yes, I can hear you. I think the connection is not the best,
okay,
unfortunately, but I can hear you.
I asked maybe the simple question: What's the budget of your festival? How much money do I need to?
How much money do you need? Well, it always depends what you want to do.
That's a diplomatic answer.
Well, this time we have a budget. This time we have a budget of around 800,000 euros. So yes, it's I would say what we also need to have this quality and to have these possibilities, also to have the productions well done, and to have the site-specific works, because each individual project, and for 22 we have 35 projects, have to be staged in a very way, in a beautiful way, and of course that costs money. So, and programming and so on, and all these aspects that you know about. But of course there's so much work by all the venues as well, which is not in this budget. So it's really hard to say how much it is in the end, because yes, we have this great collaboration partners who put also their effort in it, and have this infrastructure costs and so on, which we don't count here. So it's hard to say what
just
counts.
One point. There's a reason why I asked this simple question, because for me sometimes it feels like people don't really know how much money is needed just to make such a small festival. And maybe something like Arles, I don't know how many money do that. What's their budget?
I mean,
3 million, 4 million, I don't know. Most of the people don't know.
Sorry to talk over you, Alexander. I wouldn't say either of our festivals are small. I think it's possible to do a small festival on a more moderate budget. Our budget is probably with exchange rates probably similar to Yasmin, and in the same way, it's probably double that when you allow for all the partners' exhibition programs. It is possible to do something that is, at a more DIY model. If people want to have a photography festival in their town or city, it doesn't have to be to the high production values that Yasmin's team and our team work to. I think we represent a particular kind of festival that has perhaps an international significance to it, but you can also have a more local community-focused festival, and that has its own place in the world as well.
Yeah, of course. Boris?
I have two things I would like to talk about. We had a theme like photography, festivals, and the art market. So I would like to talk about the art market a little bit, and then about the photographer's perspective. How much time do we have left? Alex is our clock.
20 minutes.
20 minutes, okay. And let's start with the intersection between festivals and the art market. If you are collaborating directly with art galleries, it's something else, Elias. Yeah, but if you are running a festival like Yasmin, and it's like in institutions, the question is, do you have to deal with galleries if you want to exhibit a certain photographer that is represented? does the gallery support the exhibition, or are they actually asking for an exhibition fee? Is there a dealing between the festival and the commercial art galleries? Did you get the question, Yasmin? Because you were freezing at some point. Okay, my question is about the intersection between running the festival and commercial art galleries. If you want to show work by artists that are represented by a commercial gallery, is that gallery supporting the exhibition financially, or are they asking for an exhibition fee? Or is both possible?
Both is possible. You can never say there's no rule in that, so to say. It's really it really depends. I mean, it depends on the artist, it depends on the gallery, it depends if you have any production need to be done or not, and so on. So usually our gallery connection is really good. So all galleries know that we are a non-profit association, and then they know also more or less
so Yasmin is frozen again.
Yasmin, I may take over while you're frozen, so you can, hopefully get your
Elias.
reception back. So for us, it was really important to both show the full ecosystem of the art world here in Melbourne, and also for the festival to be a time when it's not just displaying photography, but it's
art in this collaboration, why the connection is that.
Yasmin, the place where you were sitting first had a better connection to the internet. I think there's different levels of Wi-Fi in your apartment. Do you mind going?
Maybe, but no, I go back. But the problem was that they flew out there the first time.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Let's see.
Alexander, if you don't have any question regarding this, maybe we just switch over to the photographer's perspective.
No, I think Elias wanted to go on, I think.
Yeah, I just want to explain how important it is for us for it to be a time not just to exhibit photography, but for the public to also think about the role photography plays in their lives, but also to support the idea of collecting photography as a visual art form. So we actively invited a number of the leading commercial galleries in Melbourne to also create presentations where they premiere new work by Australian artists in their galleries. And we encourage collectors to purchase work and to build a photography collection. We're running an event this week in one of the galleries that we work with, all about collecting photography to help educate both collectors and also artists about how to work in that manner. And we're looking to really help kind of grow that sector here in Melbourne.
Yeah, of course, because that's maybe a very, very special difference between Mannheim and Melbourne. That in Melbourne you invite all the galleries to take part of to be part of the festival, and so there's maybe you're just standing with one foot in the art market, especially when you're inviting galleries and they're taking part of this festival. Especially in Mannheim, there's 6 institutions taking part, and it's not that commercial institutions like the Künstler Heidelberg or something else. They're not always thinking about selling photography as art. It's more about showing photography as art. Maybe that's a huge difference, I think. Not that one is bad and the other is good. It's just a simple difference.
But it's also like a location question. Yeah, Melbourne is like an art center in Australia. It's Melbourne, it's Sydney. If it's about commercial art galleries, Mannheim is not a center. There are different cities you would think of first. Yeah.
And of course, you can say when we work with art galleries, these galleries always represent artists that we want to show in our Biennale. So it's completely different because they don't take part of the festival. So they are only there to, to deal with us, how to manage that we can show the artists. So it's completely different. We don't work with them as venues to show works. So that's
and for
a big
us,
difference,
the whole festival's curated around one theme. So we're inviting the commercial galleries, and it's only, it's about 10% of the exhibition program. It's a small minority to actually, put forward projects that respond to that and that add to the overall narrative. And if a commercial gallery came back with a project that just was not up to par, that was just not good enough, I would say so, and I wouldn't have that in the festival. But they also, the galleries here are very connected with the art scene, with the art sector, and often with the art schools here. So it's really important to have their voice in the broader biennial. And so far it's worked very well. And it's also nice being able to create this trail of artworks around the city that invites the public to enter some of these commercial galleries that for many people is not part of their usual art going experience, or they might find intimidating. So it's also a way of, introducing people to some of these galleries.
Yeah.
Talking about the theme, I think there are not that many festivals without a theme. But many of the themes seem to be the same. Yeah. How do you find that theme? Yeah. You look around and you see, themes are like identity and Anthropocene, and then something about the body. And how do you pick that? Do you look in the papers and try to find out what is the most discussed problem of today, of a certain society, place? Do you make a list of possible themes, and how do you select your theme?
Yasmin, do you want to go first?
Well, for me, it's very easy to answer that because it's not me who chooses. it's a curator, and they pick their themes because they are interested in these themes and these these topics for their whole career, so to say. Because 4,500 square meters exhibition space is so much that you, as a curator, really have to use your whole network to get the job done. So yes, you deal with things that you have dealt with before. So of course, you never really know what in the beginning works and how the curator chooses a theme, but of course you know the profile of the curator or the curators. We sometimes also have collectives, and then you have an idea maybe in the beginning what to expect, of course. So yes, I would say for us it's always a bit of surprise, but never a whole surprise. Because if you have a curator like Iris Sicking, who is in the field of documentary photography, activism, and long-term projects, and who was for the whole career, then you will not have a art exhibition about photography and art, that won't happen. So yeah, maybe that's my answer for this.
Let me preface what I'm going to say with 2 points. First of all, when I started this festival, another festival director said to me, don't have a theme, it will make your life really difficult. Secondly, there are themes and there are themes. So, and I think, if you visit the biennial in Mannheim or here in Melbourne, you'll realize that the theme is taken very seriously, and it's the exhibitions and the works and the commissions are very much curated around that. It's possible to look around and see lots of photography festivals that kind of place a theme and umbrella just across the whole, program of photography exhibitions to kind of tie it together somehow. So I think just because the festival says it has a theme does not necessarily it's really responding to or exploring that theme in depth or in any kind of detail. So with that said, how do we define our themes? It's a combination of things. I think you're right. It is about looking at what's going on in the world today. It's about looking at what's the most critical, important issues to address, to both make sure that we're saying something. You know, this is biennial. That happens every 2 years. You've got to have something to say. You've got to have an opinion. And that's really important, both for the festival, but also for the artists to feel like they can actually contribute to something and actually push boundaries and not just repeat what's already out there in the world. And it's also responding to what artists are making. What are artists' interests? What are they researching? What are curators interested in that we're working with? And we look at trying to tie that together within the theme. There are some projects that we're working with that have been already kind of in development for several years. And so it's kind of bringing that all together. And at the end, going back to my previous point, making sure you have something to say, something meaningful. How are we adding to the conversation, both here locally but internationally? And I think that's really important to do that. Else there's no point having a theme. Just make sure you're showing some beautiful photography.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Boris, you want so?
Yes. There was one comment that was asking how you keep the balance between having a theme and then being open so everything fits under the umbrella. I think that example how to do it is Mannheim. Yeah, from where I stand, as a theme can be interpreted in so many ways. Yeah, it doesn't say our subject is sustainability. Sustainability as a theme would be not as interesting as something which is more mysterious. I think this is how you can keep a balance. But I saw the development in the last years of art being more and more activism, concentrating on things that are happening right now, trying to change the world, to make the world a better place. I would like to quote Roger Bellin here that says, if we want to know what is the political thing that is discussed right now, he looks in the papers. He doesn't go to an exhibition. So his perspective is to go to the very basis of our political problems by looking at the human condition. That would be an option as well. Yeah, not picking out one aspect, but trying to go back to the source of the problem, which is us. Would that be an option for a festival? Alex, for your festival?
For my festival, of course. And no, like as you quoted Roger Ballin, I always think about that. Maybe you should not forget the artists, because they're human and they have a connection to the world. And when there's something going on in the world, maybe they find out, and maybe that's an impulsive thing. So you have to react to something in the world, and when there's something big going on, every artist is trying to handle this, and so what's going on in the world comes to art. So because there are artists dealing with the world.
And
yeah, Yasmin?
And what do you see when you open the paper? You see photographs. I mean, and photographs reflect photographs, so we are not that far away from
Absolutely.
that.
And while the news might be there in black and white in print, it's artists and photographers that can really get under the skin of those stories, or really change hearts and minds and shift the narrative, or make you feel something or think something differently, and also invite people into experience different lived experiences. Photography is incredibly accessible and engaging in that way. And for us in Photo 2022, by bringing a lot of work into the public realm, I was just cycling around the city today and viewing the work we have outside the State Library, outside the Town Hall, outside the Cathedral. Everyone is stopping and looking and taking something away from that. So it's a way to, you know, to enrich people's lives.
Yeah, of course. Through the eyes of an artist.
100%.
But here we are talking about how do we perceive art, and something that has been discussed very much with artists is the so-called aboutness. Yeah, does your work need to be about something, and how do you perceive art? Do you go to the exhibition? Do you read the text and realize, okay, this is about subject A? And then you go and you try to find subject A in the images, in the work? Or do you just go there, look at the work, and try to look inside? What does it do to me? What do I feel? What memories are triggered? What emotions? If it's different ways of approaching an artwork.
Absolutely. And that goes for any form of art, any visual art or performance art. It's the same. And again, you know, because we're presenting things in the public realm, a lot of that has to be really accessible on an immediate level, but also provide different levels of different depths to it. So people can go in and discover more. They can learn more, either directly from hearing from the artist with an audio guide that people can scan the QR codes and hear that, or reading the text, or going online and reading perhaps an essay that delves into those subject matters more deeply. And and great art allows you to do that. It allows you to form your own opinion, but also allows you to be inspired further through your understanding of an artist's broader practice or the subjects that they're exploring. Yep.
And maybe most of the time for me, it's like the artwork, or maybe in this case, photography is just the start to find something that's maybe interesting. Like the artwork from Mathieu Gafsou showing in Biennale is, you don't really know what you're seeing, but maybe there's something that says to you, okay, try to dig deeper. If you want to know what's this about, try to dig deeper, and that now you understand, and then there's a whole word going on. Or maybe, if I think you know the art of Edmund Clark, the work about these facilities, the CIA facilities, and the documents, and you don't really know what you're seeing when you see it the first time without knowing something. And then if you want to know what's going on, maybe there's some topic that maybe sticks to you, and maybe then you understand what's going on. So it's another way of communicating something. It's you don't have always to recognize at the first view what you're seeing. Maybe sometimes it takes time, and then it's something interesting.
Absolutely, and there's space for all different kinds of photography. Not every photograph has to hit you in the face with a message.
Yeah.
But I think as a curator, my interests are definitely looking for work that is conceptually rigorous, that has a unique viewpoint, and that is engaging. That someone can take something away from.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really strange way to see art if you are not willing to, I mean, of course you can approach it from different angles, and you always have.
Yasmin, we can't hear you.
And we have only 2 minutes left, 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
Okay, well, let me just say that
Somehow
if people are interested in hearing more, Yasmin's actually joining us for one of our photo live
possibility. But I mean, if you look any other field, and it really doesn't matter which
Yasmin,
field,
we didn't hear you. You had
maybe this is how time travel should feel like.
Of whatever.
Yes, I think Yasmin was traveling first to Australia and then back to Germany.
Making some effort.
Yasmin, I was just saying that people can hear us talk again on the, I believe, the 19th of May as part of our Photo Live Talks program that will be presented both in person at Academy in Melbourne, but also streamed live online. You can register on photo.org.au, and we'll be talking alongside Varun Gupta, who's the director of the Chennai Photo Biennale in India. And on that conversation, we'll be talking about how photography festivals can activate cities. And I look forward to exploring that with you. But Boris and Alexander, I think we're out of time.
Yeah, absolutely. There are maybe 20 seconds.
Well, that just leaves it for me to say, Yasmin, thank you so much. It's been so wonderful over the last few months getting to know you and your Biennale, and I really hope to see it in person one day, and I wish you could all be here in Melbourne to join us. Boris and Alexander, thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, too. Greetings to Melbourne.
Yes.
Have a nice
Thank
evening,
you so much,
Australia.
Elias.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Lots of love.
Thank you so much. Bye.